Let's podcast live to tape from Breeze Thru on Poole Road. It's their customer appreciation grand reopening event. 11 to 2. If you're listening to this relatively early in the podcast distribution, they're going to be here from 11 to 2 with $1.76 a gallon regular gas. So come take advantage of that. But later in the day, they'll have other customer appreciation events taking place. A lot of their vendors are here giving out a bunch of goodies. But since we are live to tape, we, of course, thank our friends at the Butcher's Market. It's all about corporate synergy, Joe. Corporate champion synergy. Thanks to our friends at the Butcher's Market. Thanksgiving is next week, ladies and gentlemen. Pick up all the sides, the goodies. You're required to bring something to a potluck. They can make it super, super easy for you. So head on over to thebutchersmarkets.com. And, of course, you can start planning your holiday parties with their catering. Again, thebutchersmarkets.com. I'm cold, Joe.
Are you where do you fall on the Mike Greenberg scale of Friendsgivings? He came out this week on one of his 78 ESPN programs and was railing against Friendsgivings for some reason. As if everyone is blessed with a big, happy family that they want to spend time with every holiday.
There are a lot of times where you give me a lot of grief for my radio-ness.
Yeah.
Right? I can be a stickler, very, very stubborn about format and those types of things. But I am here to tell you that I do not miss in any way, shape, or form having to come up with those kinds of hot takes.
Conjure the takes to get the people going.
Get the people going. Back in the day, thanks to former producer Alec Campbell, we used to do this bit called Relatable Radio. Okay. And the sounder would go like, wah, wah, relatable radio, because it was engineered moments of like, hey, we're just like you. And we have this like opinion, right? So to your point about Mike Greenberg and the Friendsgiving thing, take like that coming from him is not surprising. To your point, you're absolutely correct. I love when people just assume that everybody's family is perfect, that everybody gets along with their family. They got a great relationship with their mother and father or a sibling or whatever it is.
And or they're in a proximity to each other and or can afford to go, travel and see each other.
Or if you really want me to be a Debbie Downer, I don't know. Some people might be dead. And you get together with your family. So what do you have left? You have Friendsgiving. Or you might them over. You might be out of town. You can't see your family coast to coast, right? So you get together with the people that are around you, and Friendsgiving becomes that event for you. As somebody who used to do Friendsgiving, the weekend before Thanksgiving, it was a great time to catch up with people that you've known for a long time, but life gets busy. Kids running around, jobs, all sorts of stuff. It's a good way for you to get together. I enjoyed our time doing Friendsgiving.
You know how I feel about Thanksgiving in general.
Yes.
It's the best holiday.
I agree.
So I'm certainly not going to criticize anyone who and how they choose to celebrate their Thanksgiving. Like, we're in a beer cave. That's how we're celebrating. We were out at golf yesterday. Mm-hmm. Like, I would definitely do that. I would still be there, still trying to hit a hole in one right now if they didn't kick me. Andrea had to kick me out.
Andrea kicked you out?
She did.
Yeah.
She was like, no. Like, we have to go. And I'm like, no. Like, we're so close. Like, please.
You were also feeling it a little bit from long leave.
I was. I mean,
you were giving the folks at golf the full Giglio yesterday. It really was. I was like, well, either they're going to ride with this or they
sink or swim, man.
Speaking of the full, I still got those radio transitions.
There we go.
In me. Mack Brown's giving you the full Mack Brown PR experience right now. Mack Brown. I find all this curious. I find all this super, super curious. You tell me if I'm reading too much between the lines. So this is a story on 24/7 Sports from a gentleman named Matt Zenitz. Okay. This is not an Inside Carolina reporter. This is a national 24/7 report. The headline reads, Mack Brown plans to remain UNC football coach. Subheadline, Mack Brown, who is in year 6 of his second stint at North Carolina, is telling people around the Tar Heels that he plans to remain UNC's football coach beyond the 2024 season. The story continues. Brown is telling people at North Carolina, including staff and players along with recruits, that he plans, keyword plans, to remain the Tar Heels coach beyond the season. Sources telling CBS Sports and 24/7 Sports. The UNC administration has not commented in recent months on Brown's status past the 2024 season. Brown is under contract through 2027. He also, there's a word intends in here too. And then, of course, there's this other key line at the bottom of the story. The UNC recruiting class, which is scheduled to sign in 2 weeks during National Signing Day, is currently ranked 69th in the nation. Typically, when I see 69, my instinct is to go, nice. But the problem, Joe, is that when I see the number 69 next to a Mack Brown, North Carolina recruiting class, I go, that's not so nice. And the story continues. The Tar Heels are still in play for several remaining targets. Now, this is what I find all curious about this. Plans, intends, language matters. You know what else matters? Where the story is coming from. This is not coming from Inside Carolina. I went to Inside Carolina's website. They're running the same story from 24/7 Sports. I do not see Adam Smith bylined anywhere in the situation. I have not seen a follow-up from Inside Carolina related to this. I mean, heck, I don't even see like a long-form piece from our guy, Greg Barnes. None of that's there. So that tells me where this is coming from. Now, the question you have to ask yourself, is this Mack Brown playing semantics ahead of signing day, which is crucial for every college program? You're already rolling your eyes. Is it semantics about signing day and you have to say the words to make everybody feel good and all this other kind of stuff? And then when signing day ends and whenever North Carolina gets through whatever their bowl situation is, we'll come to find out what Mack Brown's future actually is. Or is it Mack Brown, the king of PR, is already paving the way for the, I was going to quit after JMU. I told him if you needed somebody else to run this program, to lead this program to the next thing, you tell me right now, right? Remember that whole thing after JMU, the big story, the big kerfuffle after what happened at JMU. And the story arc now is, well, I got my answer because we rallied as a program. We got to bowl eligibility. And who's to say they don't close out the year with wins over Boston College and NC State to close out the season? That is a perfect story for Mack to sell. And look, I questioned it. I got my answer. And I feel strongly about coming back next year, whether Bubba Cunningham and some of the boosters want me or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a disconnect between what most UNC fans would like to see happen and the reality. And you can say the same thing about NC State now. I think most UNC fans realize that Mack has hit the idea that Mack was back and 2.0 was going to lead them to either an ACC championship, a national championship, or a spot in the playoff. I think any sane Carolina fan, even the richest ones that are the most deluded, can see that's not going to happen. I would expect nothing less, though, from Mack to say that he intends and plans and will be back. I would say from the Carolina administration, and you know my opinion of Bubba Cunningham, you also know my opinion. Mack should have been fired last year after they did not show up for a football game again in Raleigh.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Should have been fired.
Yeah.
And in a couple of years, you're going to see Amarian Hampton and Drake May in the NFL together, and you're going to be like, now, wait a second. Wait a second. What did they do? When they had them, what did they do?
It's funny, given that
you're going to see that. That's going to happen in a couple of years.
Look,
okay.
We've been revisiting it with the 20 years of, since TA, right? You go back and you look at that roster. You look at the defense. You had Phillip Rivers. What did you get out of it? Now, I agree with you. The same thing's going to happen to Mack Brown in North Carolina, given the talent they had.
The thing we're missing here in the vacuum of this story, in the vacuum of, two things. I'm rolling my eyes at recruiting because, quite frankly, I'm not sure recruiting matters anymore. Okay. I'm just being serious. I need to see someone be successful with younger high school recruits. You're going to sit there and tell me Georgia.
Yeah. Fine.
But I want to see Carolina's not Georgia straight up. I mean, that's not an insult. That's just the truth. So I'm not sure, I wouldn't fire someone because their recruiting was in the 60s or the 70s. That's not a reason in 2024 to make a move.
Okay.
The other part though, that this story is also missing is this house settlement is a real thing. And I think you're going to see all kinds of inertia that we've already seen from Florida. They weren't willing to move on. Well, if Florida, Oklahoma, USC, all of these high profile schools aren't going to move on, well, why would Carolina move on?
Right.
And I'm not saying Mack is one of those coaches. I'm just saying there's no point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than you saying we need a hard restart, which I believe they do. But that's a problem you can solve the next year. To bounce back from the 4-game losing streak in the way that they did, That's actually really good work.
Yes, it is.
And to be perfectly,
I'm not dismissing it, by the way.
To
I'm
be
not
perfectly
dismissing,
honest with you, the way that they played in all but the James Madison games was really good work. The James Madison game, I don't know what happened. The next 3 games, he had their attention. I mean, they were completely there, which is hard to do after a game like that.
But that's dismissing what happened against Duke. I actually think bouncing back from the Duke loss is a bigger deal than the JMU.
But I'm saying
loss.
both of them.
But both of them were bad for their own separate reasons.
Right. You had one loss that was complete and total embarrassment. Then you had another loss where you're like, why did it wither away the way that it did? Almost emblematic of his entire tenure there. Right. Like, look at when the sun was out, man, looks really good. Then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second. They don't play any defense. They can't stop the run.
Right.
Quite frankly, they don't show a toughness on defense that they need.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't view this story as even like groundbreaking or even noteworthy in the sense that Mack was always going to operate under the impression. And we know this going into the year. He was saying, I'm calling my shot. I get to call my shot. Now, has he earned the right to call his shot? I don't know. He said after last year with the 6 boosters, that's who he basically answers to. That's who we went to for advice and how to remodel the program, yada, yada, yada. But he's already told you if you're going to get rid of him, you're going to have to fire him. He's already saying that.
Yes,
he's already told you that.
If you take anything from this conversation and the framing of that story and the fact that it's coming from a national spot, not inside Carolina, it tells you that Mack Brown is signaling to UNC, you're going to have to tell me to go away. I am not going to go away on my own.
And in this set of circumstances, it does not make sense for them to tell him to go away. College football needs to clean up their calendar. We just saw this in the group of 5 schools. They fired a bunch of guys this week because they have to, because of the signing day and some other reasons, right? When the portal's open and you need to be prepared for all that. College football, and I mean, they might have done it inadvertently to save these coaches. I don't know. But now you also have, don't forget, the roster limit is going down to 105. And we can laugh at Dabo, who was like, with the crocodile tears over, I've got to tell 15 players that they can't play college football anymore. And it's like, well, 7 of them are your kids, so I think you'll be okay. Maybe that's why you're really crying. I mean, how many freaking Sweeney walk-ons are there, for God's sake? But that's a real thing, too. Like, that's part of that roster management. And quite frankly, and whatever your opinion is on college football and the NCAA and all their rules and all this other stuff, that's not fair. Like, that is just not fair to the coaches and the players to have their off season be the first week after the regular season ends.
It's way too.
You can't have the signing day there. The signing day should be in September.
Yes.
Or the first week of the season.
Yes.
That's when signing day should be. The portal should open. The week the week after the national championship is played. That, or the day after the championship is played, the portal opens. And it's then open for 2 weeks. And then you're on your way. You go into spring football. The damn thing doesn't open back up in the spring because that's a bunch of horse shit too. Like, you got to give these coaches a half of a chance. Yes, they can cry themselves to sleep with their bank account. I understand that. But you got to give these coaches a half of a chance to build and manage their roster. So Mack, the week off, saying what he said the week off, hey, man, I'm having these conversations. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. Yeah, man, you should be. You have to. That's the time to do it. And quite frankly, I hate it for these coaches, how the sport is set up right now. I don't want a guardrail. I want actual fucking rules. It's not that hard to do.
They don't want to make the rules themselves because they realize they're the ones. It's their constituents. They need somebody else to come in and point to them being the bad guy.
Here's the bad guy.
Yeah, because all the issues that these coaches complain about, I'm like, well, it's your presidents and ADs that are coming up. These are the things that you want, and they follow through on it. So now they need a new bad guy to point to. One last point about Mack before we move on, and that is, I agree with you with the calendar, and that prevents, or at least it doesn't prevent, it adds to the complexities of how you want to go about the business of going about your coaching searches or the coaching future, right? But I think the one thing that is becoming crystal clear as the season progresses, and we're seeing a lot of coaches that otherwise would be fired, especially in the SEC, that the House settlement and the budgeting for buyouts of future coaches, because for me, it's not about Mack Brown and his 2027 deal and how it's all structured. It's how Bubba Cunningham or any coach in the Power 5 or the Power 4 structures the next deal.
Yeah.
What does the buyout look like? What can you afford? What is it going to look like when you factor in the House settlement and the money that's going out that way? There's a lot, and because that also trickles down to the assistants as well. So all these things factor in, and with the uncertainty, it makes more financial sense and really your own planning sense to ride it out next year with all these guys, get a better sense of what everything's going to look like when it's actually in action, and then you can go about the business of what your future is going to look like at that program.
It's also, how do you get an up-and-coming coach? Like, take Tulane, for example.
Yeah.
If you wanted to hire Tulane's coach, Tulane's going to be in the American Athletic Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who's to say Boise State doesn't trip up and lose at some point?
Yeah.
Who's to say Army doesn't beat Notre Dame, and then all of a sudden Tulane gets credit for beating Army and is in the college football playoff?
Yeah, if you're a DC Group of 5 team.
Yeah. So how do you hire a guy?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is broken, and they just refuse to fix it. And the biggest fix, of course, is making the players employees, but we can't do that.
Can't do that. And all this hand-wringing, all this fretting about what's going on at North Carolina and the coach and everything else, it's all for Triangle Good.
Triangle Good, your team is merely Triangle Good. Not bad or great, just Triangle Good. Pack wheels and Duke are Triangle Good. They're Triangle Good.
Speaking of
so good.
Speaking of Triangle Good, as the Sickos Committee pointed out on social media, we got the most Thursday-ass football game taking place tonight between NC State and Georgia Tech. State's still looking for bowl eligibility, looking to close strong, as Dave Doran mentioned this week.
Yeah, State's going to finish 5-7, and it's not going to be good, but it is what it is at this point. So,
you really think they're going to finish 5-7?
You think they're going to win either tonight against a team who runs the football and plays defense?
I don't think they're going to win tonight.
Okay.
It's the Carolina game that I go back and forth on.
No reason to go back and forth. Hampton's going to run for 9 million yards against them, and they're going to lose in part. Not only is Carolina playing better, but you can't call people a bunch of pieces of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they planted a flag the year before and didn't care, so there's that.
Yeah, that's
but
the thing. I don't think there's any sort of
let me just tell you, if Carolina wins, that will be brought up over and over and over and over and over again.
Which good. If that's what it took for you to give a damn about this damn game, well, then fine. At least the light bulb finally went out. But you just pointed it out. They planted a flag there the previous year, and they came out flat back in Carter Finley Stadium. So, and then Mack didn't say shit for 2 months.
I think they were reeling, though, down the stretch, and he had already lost the team. Whereas this time they got that losing streak out of the way.
Yeah.
And I think they're fairly locked in right now. I don't think State's a bad football.
No, I don't
think State's a bad football team. Okay. When I say they're going to finish 5-7, that's not like, oh my God, throw everything away. They're the worst. Dave's the worst, blah, 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 blah. No, they're playing a team tonight in Georgia Tech who's very good defensively, really good defensively. All of their wins, all of the teams who have beaten Georgia Tech, if I have this right, have scored 31 points or more. And I'm just going off the top of my head without my computer. I think the only ACC game State scored more than 30 points is Stanford at home.
Yeah.
So logically, is NC State going to score enough points to beat Georgia Tech tonight? Probably not. Okay. So you have that. That's number one. Now, then you have a little bit of an extra time to get ready for the Carolina game. I fully expect State to play their Super Bowl against Carolina.
That's the thing.
Fully expect that.
Say what you want about Dave Doran, but they're always motivated for that game.
I do not think it will be enough.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think Carolina in that game, I think it'll play out a lot like the game in 2012. Dave's team was terrible. They had nothing else to play for, so they had that game to play for. They show up. It was a game for about 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter, Carolina's talent pulled the game away.
Yeah.
I see something very similar happening this time around. But the game tonight, like Georgia Tech it's good that State's not a ranked team. It's good that Georgia Tech's a favorite. But, ultimately, I think Georgia Tech is the one that's played with a purpose and played with a focus and an identity this year. State just doesn't have an identity to this football team. The only thing they have is
they've been looking for it. It's not there.
They did play better defensively against Duke, and that will serve them well in the final 2 games for sure. But there's no coming back from the play calling from that Duke game was just straight up cowardice. And I don't see why it's magically going to change over the last 2 games. I think you and I are on the same page. I would have fired Robert and I after any one of the losses
Yeah.
this year.
I don't think,
And then you could let somebody else call the plays and go footloose fancy free potentially for 5 games.
I think the reason why they didn't move on from a 9 in the middle of the season is because Dave is not facing a situation where his job is actually on the line when the season's over. So
sure, but it will be presented to him when the season
right,
does
that's
end.
what I'm saying.
It will be presented to him that you need to make changes, starting with the person who calls your plays.
Yes. Well, you know my feelings on this. You can change the play caller all you want.
And
you also need to change.
There we are in the existential question here in the beer cave.
Yes.
Right? Is it Dave? Or is it the people that he hires?
Do I need to crack open a High Life just to like, hey man, if we're in the beer cave talking about life and everything else, maybe that's what
does recruiting matter anymore? I don't know, man. Look at Indiana. Boy, Indiana's going to be fascinating to study from 20 years from now. And even they gave Kurt Cincinnati a significant raise and extension. And all I could think about was like, I think Michigan State just did this.
They did the same thing.
This is not a great idea. Like, and if you're Indiana, absolutely build a statue.
Sure.
Send them every concubine on this side of the country. Whatever you need to do, make them feel good. But man, that feels like something that you're going to regret, because how sustainable is it adding 23 guys from the team that you came from the year before?
But then again, we were wondering that about Deion Sanders in Colorado, and we left them. They were.
Deion's not sustainable.
They're not,
and he's not going to be their coach next year.
But I didn't think they were sustainable this year. And next thing you know, they're on the outside. I mean, they're on the outside looking in for the Big 12 championship game, but there's still a chance.
I don't think they're on the outside yet. But let me say this, because I have avoided this in college sports, the football game. I never play Colorado.
Yeah.
They have the 2 highest rated players in the game.
I know.
They have the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
Right? And then they have
his
his son. I was thinking about it and just had this conversation with JC Zemble, who was like, I'm not so sure about Shedeur Sanders as a pro. He doesn't have a great arm, doesn't have this. I said, let me tell you something. Let me tell you who the 2 biggest generational talents of this century in football and basketball are.
Mm-hmm.
You have Steph Curry, whose dad played in the NBA.
Yes.
You have Patrick Mahomes, whose dad played professionally baseball.
Yeah.
So if I'm an NFL team, well, yeah, I'm going to trust Deion's genes, one of the greatest athletes of all time, not just football players, greatest athletes of all time. Yeah, I'm going to roll the dice on that second generation player.
All you got to do
just
is
so you know,
just point to Seth Greenberg and wonder, hey, buddy, Seth Greenberg, do I have to talk about this again? Yeah. Actually, you do have to talk about it again. I'm laughing because I'm on the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. You can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code OG24. New customers, if you haven't been on DraftKings yet, new customers, you put $5 down, you will get $150 in bonus bets along with that when you use the promo code OG24. So when I looked this morning, the line for Georgia Tech NC State was 8.5, but DraftKings now has it at 9.5. I'm sorry, 9, -9 for Georgia Tech.
I would say the total is the play there. Is it 51.5?
51.5.
I'll go under, because I think Georgia Tech's defense is really good. I actually do think State has played better on defense.
So what you're saying is I shouldn't do $5 gang on the plus 1,000 Wolfpack Rising single game parlay?
Okay, what is it?
NC State to win.
Okay.
Jordan Waters to score a touchdown and KC to score a touchdown.
No, Jesus Lord, no.
No, I shouldn't do that?
No.
All right, who
crafted that for them? DraftKings, get at us. Come on, man.
Contact.
That's embarrassing.
We've done it before.
I know, but that's embarrassing.
Defending the Hive. Georgia Tech to win the first quarter by 7+.
Ooh.
Georgia Tech -21.
What?
And NC State Georgia Tech under 49 points. That's plus 1,000.
No, dude.
No, I shouldn't do that. You know what? I am.
They're not going to get blown out. State's not going to get blown out.
Are you sure about that? The way you were
Yes.
talking about NC State, I'm not so sure they're not going to get blown out.
No, because they will play the Dave Doran special. They're going to
Just
play
saying.
defense. They're just not going to score enough.
Anyway, this is all the fun stuff that you could do at DraftKings. You can get incensed by some of their single game parlays and still go, you know what? I'll still put $2 down on that though. Because why not? Let's see what happens. Also, you got the NBA. That's how I am. You got the NBA Cup as well. You can win big getting in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All 30 teams, single groups. We got games on Friday. It's a lot of fun. And if it's your first time, something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. So here's what you need to do. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code OG24. That's code OG24 for new customers. You'll get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball.
Housekeeping.
Brought to you by Innovana. Check them out online at innovana.com. Green cleaning solutions.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Innovana.
Speaking of housekeeping, we got the Basketball Jones. We announced that last week. Dimitri wants me to tell you, the listeners, that the Basketball Jones tickets at the Rialto will be on sale this Saturday noon through the Rialto's website. And of course, if you're an OG fan subscriber, you're going to get a discount code. So you might as well go sign up for OG fans. Go to ogtrianglemedia.com today. Sign up. We've got great newsletters. We got great podcasts. We dropped an OG business yesterday talking about Inside Carolina or Inside the NBA. We didn't talk about Inside Carolina. We talked about the Inside the NBA and some other matters, Blue Sky versus Threads for sports fans, all that fun stuff. Of course, we got ACC Panic Room. And again, the newsletter itself. So go to ogtrianglemedia.com. Big thanks to Longleaf. We were there yesterday having a good old time. I had the salad because I had to mix in a salad for once, but they go beyond that. Giglio's shaking his head in disgust. You had the pretzel bites.
I did. I had the pretzel bites. Their food. I mean, I just feel like I had the pimento cheese.
Yeah.
Which I had never had before.
Yeah. It's really good stuff.
I don't know how Adam does it. Like
some of our listeners ran through, and you can get takeout, by the way. Like LK dropped by, got the smash burger, and took it back to her work.
Oh, okay.
You can do that too. So drop on by Longleaf. Longleafswine.com is the website. Big thanks to Home Field. I'm not wearing a Home Field hoodie right now, and I regret it because the Home Field is fleece lined, and it really would have come in handy in the beer cave. Me, but thankfully I do have the Junior Canes jacket that I'm rocking right now, so that's keeping me nice and warm. Joe, not so much. He's very, very cold right now. So what you need to do is go to homefieldapparel.com. Use that promo code OG24. You can save 15% off your order. This, folks, is all about the holidays. Get your orders in now for the sports fan in your life. They're absolutely going to love Home Field Apparel. And the big splurges are great too, like the bomber jackets and everything else. Again, go to homefieldapparel.com. Big thanks to our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. It's not too late to start thinking about what your patio deck situation is going to be like next year. Misting system, maybe? Yeah, bugsbite.com. Go and check that out. Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. I tried to make yesterday a 100% Panther-free guarantee. Joe broke the streak, though. It's okay. But now we actually can talk about the Panthers from the angle of tell me something good.
Tell me something good.
Sometimes when you talk about the Carolina Panthers, it's best to look at other franchises in the NFL and go, you know what? Could always be worse, Joe. And you know who's been providing? The New York football teams. We've got the Jets and the Giants providing all sorts of, man, it's a real shit show up in their place. And we thought David Tepper was the worst owner in the NFL. Oh, no, sir. We got Jets fans hoping Woody Johnson finally takes another ambassadorship of some sort to get him the hell away from the Jets organization. And of course, the Mara family just steps on their own toes in how they do things with the Giants, right? So I present to you, hey man, the Panthers stink, but they've won 2 in a row. People are just looking for moral victories against the Kansas City Chiefs. And you know what? At least we're not as big of a dumpster fire as the Jets and the Giants. Would you rather start with the Jets or the Giants first, Joe?
I want to start with the Jets because I want to advance a theory to you that may not be in your orbit.
Okay.
Because I know I've put you on a restricted list when it comes to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I try my best not to talk about Aaron Rodgers. You're right. even though I was right this entire time. I've been right for 2 years about Aaron Rodgers.
There has been a theory,
Okay.
that Aaron Rodgers, noted anti-vaxxer, specifically signed with the Jets, owned by Johnson & Johnson, to specifically sink the Jets
No, dude.
and the proprietors of one of
No.
the vaccines for COVID.
No, that's a dumb conspiracy. All conspiracies are dumb. That sounds like something Aaron Rodgers would do.
It's at least plausible
But-
in his world.
But no. Aaron Rodgers went to, because I'm gonna advance a question to you.
Okay.
All right, related to Aaron Rodgers. But before I get to that question, to address what you said, no, because that to believe that conspiracy, you also have to believe that the Jets were a functional organization before Aaron Rodgers got there.
That's true, because they wouldn't need sinking. They would already have been sunk.
They've been sunk.
Yeah.
They're a dysfunctional organization.
Yeah.
They just added to their disorganization, their dysfunction, their dumpster fireness by adding an agent of chaos, which is something a shitty organization would do.
Yeah.
Right?
That's fair.
Okay, so bad franchise management begets more franchise mismanagement.
Play,
All right?
play stupid games.
You win stupid prizes, which is why low key, as much as I said positive things about David Tepper, he does have the chance to do the dumbest thing.
Oh.
And that is to add Aaron Rodgers to the roster next year when he's no longer with the Jets. So here is the question I have for you.
On the death wheel, if the Panthers do add a quarterback from the tri-state area, which one would you want less?
Jeez. Tommy DeVito,
No,
Daniel Jones,
Daniel Jones,
Drew
the Charlotte
Lock?
Homecoming.
Jeez. That
So
would be
you got
funny.
Daniel Jones, the Charlotte Homecoming in play, and or deluding himself into thinking that Aaron Rodgers at 40 with one leg is better than
That would be funny.
no one else.
That would be funny. No, here's a question that I have for you. Would Aaron Rodgers rather be hurt again this season
Then have to play.
than have to play?
I can't get inside his brain and what he wants. I was really
What does he want more than anything else?
I was kind of thrown off attention.
right.
I was kind of thrown off 2 weeks ago when he was telling Pat McAfee how he was still in his plans to play another 2 or 3 years, and I'm like, are you watching? It's kind of like when Drew Brees and Roethlisberger were at the end of their
Yeah,
careers
those
too.
guys are never. They're
What kind of like, are you watching?
That's-
Do you have any kind of standard?
That's such basic athlete level thinking. Show me an athlete up there in age that
Mike
is gonna,
Schmidt is
that's
the
gonna-
all-time gold standard.
that's going to come back to
The
you and say,
all-time
"Oh
gold
no,
standard.
I'm in the best shape of my life."
That's right.
I changed my diet. I found a new workout, and I found this fountain of youth, nano bubbles. Russ is going to go through the same thing, by the way.
Yeah, he already has.
He's already in the process of doing that. Of
Yeah.
course, he is being emboldened by how the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing, but that's another conversation altogether. Now, here's why I say this. Aaron Rodgers wants attention so badly that in his mind, last year was great
Yes.
because it created the myth.
when I come back,
When I come back, I'm going to defy the odds. I'm going to break medical brains with my ability to come
that's
back.
right. He was going to come back at the end of last year. Oh, if they were still in.
But then,
playoff contention.
if it's just I made the hard decision, they're not in playoff contention. I don't know what it really comes back to. Well, no, you kept saying that you were going to break everybody's minds with your ability to come back quicker than anybody else. So what did playoff contention for the Jets had to do with anything?
Yeah.
Right? Well, they told me not to. The man who hates to be told what to do suddenly is listening to authority? That's really weird. No, because the whole point of last year was the myth of Aaron Rodgers and NFL insiders like Diana Rossini and Adam Schefter losing their minds over the possibility of him coming back and the Jets would be saved. And the Jets saying, man, we really need his leadership on the field and everybody else can be blamed for their woes. The problem with this year is that they fired their head coach. They have not seen an uptick.
No.
All right. Now they just fired Joe Douglas. There's a picture making the rounds of Joe Douglas, the GM, and Robert Saleh, the head coach, and Aaron Rodgers in the middle. And only one of these guys remains. I'm like, it happens to be the problem. Weird. It's the hot dog guy meme. Once again.
Yeah, just admit it.
So I'm convinced more and more that if Aaron Rodgers could pull a what's his face, the ECU guy, Gardner Minshew,
Break his thumb.
and break his thumb with a hammer, he would have done it. I wouldn't be surprised if he's thinking about it right now, right? Because it creates the myth that oh man, he was so good, he's the
So
baddest
close.
man now, so close.
Yep.
Now instead we get to see it exposed that he's old, straight up. He's old. And he's trying to win like he's young. Clearly cannot do that. Now, about the Giants. How down bad do you have to be in New York right now to be talking about a quarterback controversy that involves these three names? Okay. The three names involved in this quarterback controversy are Daniel Jones and his injury guarantees that they're trying to avoid to the tune of what, $23 million?
Yeah.
Tommy DeVito was the third string quarterback. He was listed as the third guy on the depth chart behind Drew Lock. So this week we get word that Tommy Cutlets,
You making the pizza?
he's going to be making the gnocchis out there on the fields. Anyway, the point is, I'm sorry, this is Italian-American discrimination. I apologize.
I'm making the pasta.
So he's going out there as the quarterback this week, which has Drew Lock in his feelings, saying, no, I mean, as the number 2 guy, I expect to go out there. I'm a little disappointed. This is your quarterback. Drew Lock versus Tommy DeVito.
Well,
I know what's going
the
on here.
Giants are tanking.
Yes.
Like, I don't know why people are confused. Like, I see actual talk show people up there talking about, oh my God, I can't believe they're not playing Drew Lock. Well, no, they're not playing Drew Lock because then if he plays and he's good, then they have to pay him more money.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want Drew Lock to be good.
No, they don't.
They don't want to pay him more money.
No.
They don't want Daniel Jones to be on the books for next year, so they can't play him because if he gets hurt, then they would owe him money and he would be on the books for next year. So you know what? If you're trying to lose, do you know what you do? You go bring in Tommy DeVito. Hey, that's what you do if you're trying to lose and trying to put yourself in position for the number 1 pick in next year's draft. I mean, the Cowboys are going to be coming hard on the outside, though. I'll tell you that.
They are.
I mean,
They are.
if you've looked at the Cowboys' schedule the rest of the way, like, there's a real chance that they could end up with the number 1 pick. So, which would, of course, fulfill my prophecy that Dion will be there because he just wants to coach his kid.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. I can absolutely see it happening. All right, I am on DraftKings again, back to the Chiefs and the Carolina Panthers. Earlier in the week, I referenced this as a litmus test for the Chiefs. If they are about to turn it on, so to speak, or are they just are what they are? Right now, the Chiefs are an 11-point favorite against the Carolina Panthers. Do they cover this spread, Joe?
They have not covered as a double-digit favorite yet this year, but I do think you will see them drop the hammer this week. Yeah.
Yeah, I am curious about that. If they drop, and the Panthers are ripe to drop the hammer on because of their defense.
Well, it's their defense and also the way that they play offense.
Yes.
Like, quite frankly, the let's run the ball against the number 1 defense in the NFL is not going to work.
Not going to work, which is why this DraftKings plus 6,500 quick game parlay for the Panthers is hilarious to me. Chuba Hubbard, anytime TD score.
Okay.
Xavier Leggett, anytime touchdown.
No.
Jalen Coker, anytime touchdown. So I need these 3 guys to score a touchdown plus 6,500. Who says no?
I do. Yeah. Just give me the money. I don't even care if it's $1. Just give it to me.
The most ridiculous.
I think the Chiefs, the 30 points they gave up to Buffalo is the most they've given up all year. And until that point, it was like they only let one team score even 24 points on them. So.
Honestly, the way I approach this game against the Chiefs and the Panthers is really a moral victory standard. It's how does Bryce Young look against that defense, right?
Yeah.
How does Chuba look against that defense? Can they keep it close? Do they cover? I mean, it sounds the most ridiculous thing that I've ever said. If the Panthers cover against the Chiefs, I'm going to take that as a win.
Okay.
I'm going to take that as a win for the Panthers.
And I agree with you because of all of the reasons that you've outlined for the Chiefs.
As we mentioned at the start of today's show, we are in the Breeze Thru Beer Cave. All thanks to our friends at Breeze Thru. Adam Stevenson, he is Mr. Breeze Thru. We are on the Poole Road location. Adam, what's up, man?
Guys, thanks for being here.
Breeze Thru Czar.
The Breeze Thru Czar.
Yeah. I kind of like that.
The
negative connotation to Czar, right?
People have called me many things over
Worse?
the years.
Okay.
They have absolutely called me worse.
Okay.
Look, I could just call you the chief positive vibes only officer of Breeze Thru. That's what it's all about. And that's what
I'll
this is
take it.
about.
I'll take it.
Customer appreciation today on Poole Road.
Absolutely.
So what do we got going on?
Yeah. So we're here on Poole Road, East Raleigh. Been here for a number of years. Rebuilt the store in 2017. It's been a great store. We love serving the communities that are around here. It's been awesome. In late July, a stolen van decided to go on a little joyride and breeze right through our front door and find itself stuck against our back wall over there. So thankfully, and we can kind of make light on it now, but thankfully nobody was hurt. No issues. Could have been a lot worse than it was, but it took the store down for a couple weeks. As you would expect, we did a pretty substantial remodel coming out the back end of that. So we are back open now, and we want to say thank you to these communities around our store that have stuck with us, and we want to help them out by selling cheap gas and running a few fun promotions here and just making a day of it. So that's what we're doing.
I see the cones. I see the police. That can really only mean one thing: the gas.
Yes.
Today's the day.
Yes.
$1.76 a gallon.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to light. Yes, we are running a discount on fuel, regular fuel only. Some people say, how about 176 for premium or diesel? I'm like, I like you, but I don't like you that much.
Hey.
You
Take what you can get. All right?
You say, I didn't get to be the Breeze Thru czar by accident, sir.
So, regular fuel for a few hours from 11 to 2 o'clock today. We've been able to get word out about it through you guys, which we're grateful for, and some other media sources as well. So it should be a big day. We're anticipating a good crowd.
Okay, good. And obviously with the podcast form, you might be hearing this past 2 o'clock. I'm getting this thing out as quickly as possible today. So sorry if you missed it, if you're hearing this past 2 o'clock. But that doesn't mean the Breeze Thru Fun and Frivolity ends, right?
That's right.
So the gas is from 11 to 2, but I'm assuming that some of the folks that are out here with the various things are going to be here for a good chunk of the day.
Yeah. So
okay.
So the fun part about being a gas station and a corner store is that you're able to feature a variety of vendors from like the soft drink world, from the snack world, from the coffee world, from the beer world, from the lottery world. Like those are all folks that you work with and trust to partner with on a daily basis. So we have some wonderful partners who are here giving away free stuff and trying to make people's day better.
Did I see my favorite, the fatty, out front?
The fatty stick is here.
Okay.
I heard you plug that the other day.
Yeah, that's my go-to, man.
We're all about delivering unexpected moments of happiness here, Joe. So
you got to find those moments where you can.
I heard you.
Yes.
And we're wearing Breeze Thru Freeze Crew beanies right now with the poof. The poof is what makes it, man. The poof always makes it.
Appreciate it.
So if people want to be part of the Breeze Thru Freeze Crew, how does that work? What upcoming games do we have?
It's a very exclusive club, Joe. I must tell you.
I know it is
very exclusive.
I know. Limited spots available.
That's right. So we have a few open dates coming up throughout the rest of the year. But of course, if you're one of the lucky Caniacs who has the unique privilege to ride the Olympia, don't call me Zamboni, ride the Olympia.
Look at you respecting proper trademark and IP.
During any of the very exciting Carolina Hurricanes home games this year. By the way, Canes red hot.
Yes.
Holy cow.
Yes.
So fun to watch. If you're lucky enough to ride the Olympia during one of the intermissions, then you get a Breeze Thru swag bag and you're going to be a member of the Breeze Thru Freeze Crew.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Did they get to park for free at the Breeze Thru over
Edwards
Mill?
Perhaps. Although I will say, all proceeds from our parking go toward Hurricane Helene relief in the western
that's
part
been a
of the
great
state.
thing. You're doing that for state basketball as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You're more than welcome to come by and see us and park a Breeze Thru. We always have people there ready for you.
We do have one listener who has made a habit of posting his beer on his way to the game.
Yeah. On his way to the game.
On his way to the game.
Like
he's getting a roadie.
Okay.
He's getting a roadie. He's just walking over.
I can either
confirm or deny that.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah. If he's walking over,
he's walking over.
That's one thing.
Yeah, he's walking over. Yeah. He's not driving over with
it. Safety is a key value.
No
and
drinking.
A key thing of Breeze Thru.
Do not drink and drive.
That's right.
It's like when I do DraftKings, age and jurisdiction.
Yeah, you can come do the show from the beer cave, but you can't drive out of the beer cave.
Don't do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Do that.
That's right.
Just don't do it.
But but look, we're thrilled to be here today. When this accident happened over here, it was quite the thing.
Yeah.
And again, thank goodness nobody was hurt, but by far, as we look back on it, one of the most amusing things to me was that it happened the morning after the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. So obviously a lot of people fired up to watch the Olympics, want to watch the Today Show, which is live, remote, kind of talking about it and interviewing athletes that are going to be participating in the Olympics and all that. So it felt like a larger audience for the Today Show than normal. Okay. And of course this happens the next morning.
Yeah.
And some of the local news affiliates that host shows like that, or that host shows like that, were out here doing a live report about what's happening at Breeze Thru. And so Al Roker is like, let's see what's going on in your neck of the woods. And then it's like,
Hey,
it's like, welcome to Breeze Thru, where there's a stolen van in the middle of our store.
Man.
And my phone was very active that morning, I'll say. People checking on us, which I appreciate. Shout out to Hayes Lancaster. He was one of the first folks to check in.
nice.
Appreciate that, Hayes.
Corporate champion, Hayes Lancaster.
Yeah, that's right.
So I do have an idea. Next time we do a podcast festival that does involve the Shutdown Fullcast folks, we could do a gas station disasters, and that you have to headline the gas station disasters.
Look, I may or may not have proposed that.
Okay,
to
already?
To Spencer.
To Spencer already? Okay.
Yeah.
Gas station
And
disaster sounds like it's right up your alley.
He appeased my request. He was kind about it, but we'll see.
I already
Okay.
know your answer, but I guess I want to hear it from your positive vibes only. Georgia's going to win the national championship?
Absolutely not.
Eyebrow raise, question
Georgia
mark.
is not going to win the national championship. Quarterback is a real question. The real shame is
What
that.
happened to Carson Beck,
So,
dude?
who can say?
Getting irons on
I know.
supply, man.
Man,
Who can say?
Yeah.
win 2 national championships.
They
Suddenly
should
you
have
think you're
learned
the big man on campus.
They should have learned their
He hasn't won
lesson.
any.
They should have learned their lesson from history, right? So we have a guy playing quarterback named Stetson Bennett the 15th or
Yeah,
whatever it
the
was.
car
right,
dealership king.
right,
The
right. Like,
most Georgia quarterback of all time.
the
Yes.
most well, so you thought.
You got another one coming in?
So you thought. The one of the backups now is named Gunnar Stockton.
Oh, geez, that's not a real name.
It's his real name.
That's an AI.
He's from
that's an
he's
AI
from-
generated EA Sports game.
He's from Tiger, Georgia,
Oh, jeez.
which is up in the mountains near the North Carolina mountains.
That's really good.
So they need to get Gunnar in there if they want to have a chance. I don't know why it's so complicated.
You're on that Trevor Lawrence bandwagon. Because remember, that was the big debate with Clemson for the longest time. Kelly Bryant's perfectly fine. Yeah, but we got this other dude from Georgia, no less.
Oh, it's like the most Georgia name of all time. The
That
only other
really
name would be
is.
like Sanford Herschel,
Yeah.
Uga the fifth.
Yeah,
or
I was
something.
going to say he needs a
Lindsay.
Roman numeral
Yeah.
next to his
That's right.
name.
Roquan Bennett.
But see, here's what I find strange about the SEC right now. I thought there was a hazing period that took place for Texas. How is Texas getting the benefit of the doubt with their schedule?
Yeah,
They've
that's a
beaten nobody.
great question. I don't know. I mean, they have a great brand, and let's not diminish the power of the brand.
I guess the power of
You
that
guys know
brand is
that.
more powerful than the SEC. Who knew?
Yeah, I think it is exciting that they're playing Texas A&M again.
Yes.
I think
Yeah, that'll
that's
be great.
I think that's tremendous, and the ticket sales, the aftermarket ticket sales for that game will rival the GDP of small nations, I'm sure.
It will be fun.
Okay. Anything else that people need to know about the Breeze Thru?
Look, we're
Anything we missed?
Yeah, I want to say thank you to you guys for coming out here. Really, really appreciate it. I want to thank everybody listening for their support and for your for your belief in what we do. We're local, we're from here, we'll be buried here, and it's a privilege to serve the great listeners of the OG every day.
Look, man, we appreciate you because it goes beyond being a corporate champion for Ovies and Giglio and OG Triangle Media. You're like, you actually went to business school. I just took business classes at NC State. Okay. Like I graduated from NC State from the College of Management, but let's be real. D is for diploma. I was getting the way out of there. We call this alignment, right?
This is alignment. This is synergy. It's alignment.
Because
it's all
Adam
those things.
from Breeze Thru takes corporate champion status to another level by incorporating other corporate champions
Yes.
for his own Breeze Thru events.
Yes.
So
Perfect.
like this is a butcher's market live, and you've hooked up with the butcher's market.
Yeah.
That's corporate champion alignment.
Well, we are privileged and honored to be associated with such strong local brands.
You're speaking such LinkedIn right now. I'm impressed.
Truly.
I'm impressed. I never took
Truly.
that class.
Truly. I mean, like we are
only pick
we are
winners.
the benefit of affiliation.
We
Truly.
only pick winners. That's what I gotta say.
Or winners only pick you guys.
Oh, I like that.
I like that too.
I gotta spend more time on LinkedIn. Start learning that language, man.
LinkedIn is a very dangerous place.
Especially if you're
I
a
would
young
not
woman.
wish I would not wish a LinkedIn marketing strategy on my worst enemies.
Here, dude, I got it right for you. Here's what a stolen van crashing into my business has taught me about B2B sales.
Yeah.
That sounds like a LinkedIn post right
Sure.
there.
Maybe it is. That's like that's a wonderful like punishment for a like fantasy football league last place thing is like you have to like develop and execute a 30-day LinkedIn marketing strategy.
Yeah, your only social media is consuming LinkedIn feeds. That's it. That's all you get.
Anyway.
That is all you get. Adam, we appreciate it, man.
Of course.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
having
guys.
us out. Two Roosters is so good that I am willing to be part of the Power Through crew. We got the Breeze Thru Freeze crew, but there's always the Ovies Power Through crew when it comes to ice cream and lactose intolerance. But it's so cold in here that if you tell me I want ice cream, I'd be like, no, I'm not so sure about that. It's freezing in there. But Two Roosters is so good.
They did it.
That I'd be willing to power through my Raynaud's, my numb fingers.
Not to mention
right?
what they have going on.
That's true too. So I got all that going on. I would do that for Two Roosters because it's so freaking good. And they're so inventive because Jared has done it again. He has done it again. Little Debbie Christmas cookie cake ice cream. It's going to be at the Cary Waverly tree lighting on Friday.
So what is the base? It's
So-
just a vanilla. You're just mixing in the Little Debbie's Christmas trees.
Yeah, it's pretty much crispy
Okay.
tree cake ice cream for one day only. It's all taking place at Waverly Place.
Oh, because they're doing a tree lighting.
The tree
there.
lighting. That's
Okay.
why.
I went to the Waverly
it's a
Place
one-day only
location last week. Man, that is swank.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So check out tworoosters.com and then go enjoy the Christmas cake ice cream from them. Big thanks to Roback. You can check them out online at roback.com, RHOBACK.com. Use that promo code OG20. You'll save 20% off your order, or you save it if you haven't used it yet because they have their Black Friday preview going on right now. So go to roback.com, use that, and then when you're done with the Black Friday preview, save that OG20 for a little something for yourself or for a loved one in your family. Also, big thanks to our friends at State Farm. Matt Davis, InsureGarter.com, theoginsurance.com. You can call them directly at 919-779-8277. We were actually talking to an OG
Scott.
listener yesterday, Scott.
He said he's a youth. He said, I called him up, saved a bunch of money. I said, yeah, that's all you got to do.
I
man.
love to hear that.
Have
man.
a conversation. He's like, no, for real. It works that way. I said, okay, perfect.
Absolutely love to hear that.
It's the lightning round. The lightning round.
Carolina Hurricanes got over on the Flyers last night in a nationally broadcast game on TNT, which you know what that means, Joe. Canes fans are upset at the coverage.
There was some haterade out there, wasn't there?
Well, I mean, is Eddie Olczyk on the call? How do you think that's going to go, Joe? How do you think that's going to go?
Probably not great for the Canes. Although, like, what are you going to nitpick at this point with a team and the way that they're playing?
Svechnikov.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't on the broadcast. It was actually the studio show. I forgot which one it is. I think it's BCNet, if I'm not mistaken. I apologies. I don't know all the guys on the broadcast with the exception of Wayne Gretzky.
Pretty sure he goes by Biz Nasty.
Biz Nasty? Okay. I think it was Biz Nasty because they do the Spit and Chicklets, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Anyway, he basically looked at the camera directly and begged Andrei Svechnikov to shoot the freaking puck.
Oh,
And as I'm watching this, I'm going, is Biz Nasty an OG listener? Because what have I been saying all week when it comes to the Carolina Hurricanes? You can
score some goals.
you can hockey explain me all freaking day about the game that he plays and he's this power forward and blah 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 blah. But why has he paid that money, Joe?
to score goals.
Score some freaking goals,
Yeah.
which is exactly what BSCNet or Biz Nasty, excuse me, was going on and on and on about
This
on the
is-
studio
I
show.
think
Yes.
This is Knob de Guerre is Biz Nasty.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Do I need a nickname?
Well, when you have the jacket on, yeah, you can get one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just double checking on that. Anyway, I thought that was look, man. I'm really trying to I'm trying to be the shepherd here.
Okay.
If I can go back to my Pulp Fiction references. I'm
Okay.
trying to be the shepherd. And I don't know if I can do another season of people getting mad at a national broadcast.
Well, I already told you this. They would actually kill if they were able to put the local crew on and
I know.
give people an alternative. I thought it was fake, but then my neighbors, who are like seemingly normal people, when they were watching during that playoffs, I was like, "Oh my god, you people! Like, why are
there
you so
was-
mad? I don't.
There was a
I can't watch it. I have to turn the radio on." I was like, okay.
I forgot where I think it was in the third period, and they were highlighting, well, that should have been a penalty on the Hurricanes.
Oh,
Right. And it's like, what do we even I get occasionally go, what are we doing here? But you know what? I'm not going to get caught up in it. I'm trying to be the shepherd. Just understand that the Carolina Hurricanes are never going to be loved by the established old school hockey media. They got their boys. They got their national brands. And it's really just a pain in their ass to put the Canes on. And here's the other thing I would say. They know it bothers you.
Yeah.
They know it bothers you,
Yep.
which is another reason why it's the Jeff Goodman rules. Jeff Goodman of Field of 68 famously loves to make fun of state fans, especially during the Mark Gottfried era. And he knows that you guys lap it up. So I think that's an element of what's going on here. And I'm sure Eddie Olczyk is texting Ron Francis saying, hey,
Gotcha.
hey,
Got your back.
did you see that one? You see that little line I got in there? Hey, look, 4's one too. Because it's all with the Kraken. Like, hey, see, I got that in? Yeah, I got that in. It's pretty funny, right? Anyway, as far as the Canes are concerned, it was a very Canesy performance last night by the team. They'll be back in action tonight. Now, we just took a hockey break. You know what that means?
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
Big thanks to our friends over at Happy and Hail. Download the app to make it super easy. I will actually be going back to Happy and Hail on my way home today when we leave the Breeze Thru here on Poole Road. Download the app. You can order, make it super convenient for you to go. It might be a smoothie kind of day.
I can't, like you just said, I can't even think about anything cold right now. My feet.
Your
They're
feet
freezing.
cold right now?
They're freezing.
Jeez, that's ridiculous.
It's back up to 40 degrees in here. So
I mean, are you?
balmy.
What happened to Jersey born and bred over here?
I would have boots on. I would have 2 layers of socks on.
Florida boy over here
Yeah.
is fine, thanks to my Hurricanes jacket.
Sure.
Just saying.
Sure.
So big thanks to Breeze Thru. Go check them out. All right, let's get back into the lightning round, shall we?
Topics, stack it up. Giglio's roll back it up. Well, I know what we'll do. A lightning round.
We've got basketball on the brain Friday. Duke's taking on Arizona. That begins an interesting 2-game stretch for the Blue Devils and the Cooper Flag crew. Arizona on a Friday night there. And then they've got Kansas after that, since Kansas is an honorary member of the Big Four all of a sudden.
Yes, they are this year.
It's funny how that works out. They're like the 5th Beatle. Kansas is the 5th Big Four team so far this year, with games scheduled against Carolina, which they won, Duke next week, and obviously NC State is going up there. Any conversation around Duke really comes down to those freshmen, and specifically Cooper Flag. It was funny. I was talking to, who was I talking to yesterday in relation to, I went to Oakwood Pizza Box last night.
Okay.
Shout out to Anthony. And Anthony was, we were talking about hoops, and we were talking about Cooper Flag, and he was bringing up stat lines. He's like, he's just another this. And I'm like, has Giglio not advanced his Josh McRoberts theory to you yet? He goes, what? I go, yeah, he's convinced that he's just Josh McRoberts when you look at the stat lines. And he's not going to be the kind of guy that, and he agreed with the overall sentiment,
Right.
that Cooper Flag is not somebody that's going to overwhelm you.
Right.
Even though when you look back at his stat lines, he's going to have a pretty good go of it. So
So the only thing I'm interested in this Arizona game, first of all, running it back, love it. This is the second half of the home and home, so that's cool, really cool. The only thing I'm interested in is, like, what does Caleb Love put on his shoes this time? Will he have his Carolina shorts on under his Arizona shorts this time?
yeah.
What, like, is this like what homage to his For Life school now that he's in his second year
Right.
at Arizona? That's
Right.
not what For Life means. It's not. It's not. But I can't wait. That's the only thing I care about in this game is, in what way will Caleb Love show us that he's a true Tar Heel?
So State's got William and Mary on Friday. That's their last, I guess, tune-up game before their schedule ramps up a little bit. They'll be Purdue, Zach Edey-less Purdue on Thanksgiving next week.
Yeah, Purdue lost last night to Marquette. This is my shocked face.
What?
Yeah.
Get out. Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew?
There are many topics for lightning round today on OMG.
Gino Auriemma, all-time NCAA basketball wins leader. That happened last night in front of a whole bunch of players. It was very reminiscent of the Coach K surpassing number. What was it? 903K or whatever it was up in Madison Square Garden during a Champions Classic. Kind of reminiscent with all the former players in Coach K's final year, at Cameron Indoor, when they lost to Carolina. But unlike what happened there for Coach K in his last game, they ended up winning. So that was that. And now Auriemma is the all-time winningest leader. And I know this typically starts to get into valuing wins, and with women's college basketball being different from men's college basketball and the competition level and everything else. The only thing I'll say to that, any sort of debate when it comes to Gino Auriemma, don't focus on the level of competition per se, or what your feelings of women's college basketball were for a good chunk of Gino Auriemma's career. It's not to the level that we know today, how competitive it is. It's the win streaks that were involved in this.
Okay.
That to me is like to go out there and win in a row, the amount of times that they did, a couple times over. That to me is the most impressive part of what Gino Auriemma's done. And the fact that he stayed there this entire time. It's really easy to get the hubris of, all right, I've done this in the women's game, I'm going to go transition over to men or something like that. I mean, that's something really easy to do. This is not a Pat Summitt situation where you get into the stupidity of, oh, well, Pat Summitt's going to coach men. Are they going to respect her? Are they going to take her seriously? You put a guy out there, well, it becomes just basketball brain and translating what you've done. So Auriemma's had an incredible career, and now it's topped off with the all-time wins mark.
We've got a lot to get to. Woo. It's a lightning round.
This was sent to us by a listener, and I really don't know how to process this. Adam Schefter was on with Kevin Clark, the This Is Football podcast, and the headline that came out of this visit is that he broke news of Dale Carter's suspension while having sex. Quote, I got the job done. Thoughts, Joe?
Is this what the world's come to?
Yeah.
What website has this?
Oh, this is on the Wrap. It's an industry website. Yeah, Kevin Clark asked the ESPN host in a video published Wednesday where the strangest place he'd broken news was. After a pause and a few laughs, Schefter admitted that he broke Dale. I don't even remember this suspension in 2000.
Year are we talking?
Year 2000. Year 2000. In the year 2000, Schefter had sex and broke some news. Some people will get that reference. So Schefter admitted he broke the Dale Carter NFL suspension in 2000 while having sex. I can remember being in Denver one time, and I was like, how do I say this? I just spent time with this woman for the first time, and I got a text that Dale Carter was being suspended. I think it was for 8 games for substance abuse. So I continued to lay there, confirm it, and got the job done, Kevin, in every which way. This is the second Office Space reference we will make this week on the podcast. This is very much, like, yeah, I'm going to need you to come in this weekend while he's holding up a coffee mug with Jennifer Aniston, right? The dream sequence in Office Space. That's what I envision right now. I don't know if I should.
You already know my thoughts about Adam Schefter.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, am I supposed to be
I don't give a single fuck about Adam Schefter fucking anybody.
Am I supposed to be impressed by this? Am I supposed to be impressed by this? Or am I supposed to be saddened by this? That he's so committed to the insider bit that he's got a BlackBerry in hand while his hand's on something else. Did he one-hand it? Then so now I got questions. I'm going to have to listen to the podcast to see if Kevin Clark actually followed up with these things. Because which phone was it? Because he has multiple phones. Okay. And if it was a BlackBerry, easier to one-hand. Okay. Because they actually have keyboards on those BlackBerries back in the day.
Yeah.
So, or were you using something else? And if you were using something else, did you two-hand it? So you didn't have your hands free at that moment.
We've already wasted enough time on this.
Which then leads me to understand what position he was in while that was happening.
Sure.
Because you can one-hand it in multiple different ways. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I love making you squirm. It's like the greatest thing. I enjoy this. I love when we finally find the things that make you uncomfortable.
We've got a lot to get to. It's a lightning round.
I just love when we get into topics that make you uncomfortable. That is absolutely
I don't care about Adam Schefter. Like, why do I have to talk about Adam Schefter on my podcast? I don't. He doesn't break any news, period.
It's called Relatable, Joe. Much like a Friendsgiving thing, we could open up the OG Sports line right now. The OG Sports phone, 919-444-2211. Right? This is all I'm saying.
919-444-2211. 444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
It's like a radio bit. His answer sounds like a contrived radio bit.
Basically, it's
Somebody calling in, be like, "Yeah, one time,
one time
oh man,
I was watching.
oh, I got it done in every which way.
No,
If you know what I mean, wink, wink, wink."
what I'm saying is, if somebody calls in with a true story about the TA McClendon game, and they said TA, it's questionable if TA was in, but let me tell you, I was in.
I was getting it in.
Somehow that was not a home field read. Big thanks to our friends at Whitaker and Haber. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. Attorneys and counsels at law. They can take care of your small to medium-sized business legal needs. Or if you're an individual that has something like a closing to handle, or you've got traffic violations, by all means, contact our friends at Whitaker and Hamer. Speaking of closing a home, you want to close on a brand new home, right? Well, the way you do that is contacting our friends over at Hometown Realty, myhtr.com. You can buy and sell with confidence. If you're selling your house, don't get involved with these guaranteed offers. Okay, not in this market, not as competitive as it is in this market. Get the full value of your home. Big thanks to our friends at Nature's Relief as well. You can check them out online at nature'sreliefhempstore.com. I got a new can of something for you. I forgot to bring it today, but I will bring it tomorrow for OG Mailbag.
Yeah.
It is a cold brewed coffee, nitro coffee with CBD.
Well, that's working in both directions, eh?
Right?
Picking you up and putting you down.
So I'm going to have you try that tomorrow.
Ooh.
So you can try all sorts of goodies like this at Nature's Relief Hemp Store. Check them out. nature'sreliefhempstore.com. That's RELEAF hempstore.com. Maybe you're going to find inner peace not through a gummy, but through working out, taking a class at O2 Fitness Clubs, because it is more than a gym.
O2 Fitness, so much more than a gym.
So check them out online at o2fitnessclubs.com. You can get your neck work done like Giglio does. There's dry needling. I've seen cupping. It's all about Renew Physiotherapy. Really, it's about whole body wellness. It's about your journey to living more comfortably. Working out, look, that's the easy part. There are some more difficult things that you might have to get involved with in order to feel better. That's where Renew Physiotherapy comes in. And of course, if you want to eat better, that can be difficult. And that's where Loop Nutrition comes into play, coming up with a meal plan that'll work for you so you can reach your goals. And that's ultimately what it's all about at O2 Fitness Club. So check them out online at o2fitnessclubs.com. All right, let's get out of here on some Hey Joe. It's funny, I mentioned TA, and we've had some references to TA throughout the week. We did get a text to the OG Sports phone, and this is from a 919 number. Where were you when TA was in? My sister was a senior at North Carolina. It was her sorority family weekend. My wife and I, both state grads dressed in red, made the drive from Raleigh to join my sister and attend the game with the rest of my family, all dressed in blue. We sat in the UNC student block in the end zone. It was a peaceful state away fan. I was a peaceful state away fan all game, kept my mouth shut, didn't overly cheer. The entire end zone section was standing when TA scored. All the Heels fans sat down, and I remained standing with my hands in the air. Despite state struggles, there may have been some special moments, and that was one of the best. On the road at UNC, surrounded by Tar Heels, winning score last minute. Things changed quickly. The score was erased, and then the fumble that followed. My sister asked me after the game if my wife and I wanted to go out on Franklin Street. I couldn't get out of Chapel Hill soon enough, which of course meant stuck in traffic for 2 hours trying to process what happened. I haven't been back to Keenan for a state UNC football game since.
That's impressive.
That is really impressive. We got a text from our guy, Kyle.
Yeah.
The Hammer.
Oh, yeah.
Hammer texted us, listening to yesterday's show. TA wasn't in. No chance. I was there. Sunheim and I, season tickets, no dice. Of course, I just responded to him. Of course, a couple of UNC guys say that. He goes, no, upper deck, but very close to the goal line. That was a great year. It was a great treat. Oh, it was the lockout season, right? A great lockout treat being able to go to every game of that season. The Miami win, the state win, a lot of good tailgating. See? It's always good on the other side. Triangle good, baby. Triangle good. All right, let's go to the sports phone. This is from a 920 number.
Hey, Joe and Joe. This is Kelly calling from Wisconsin. And I was thinking of a question for the mailbag, and I guess this is the right time of the year to maybe ask. So, great discussion about the history of TA and whether or not he was in, because like you said, that's kind of a focal point of Wolfpack fanhood. If you're old enough, or if your parents or grandparents or older brother or sister told you the story about what went on and the weird stuff with the head ref having a heart attack right in Carolina and being saved and blah, 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 blah. But it struck me up as there seems to be three areas in our main sports, men's basketball, men's or football, and baseball, where facilities seems to be an issue. So for football, it's obviously parking lot. We don't want to get away from the tailgating and all the stuff the Canes are doing. For baseball, it's that our amenities aren't like they have at ECU or Carolina, and I know they're working on that. And for men's basketball, and I bring this up now because we're beginning to transition in the stage, the Heritage game is coming up on December 10th when they play back at good old Reynolds Coliseum, and the abundance of conversation of why doesn't the Pack, or why can't the Pack, or should the Pack move back to Reynolds Coliseum? And I was thinking about that, and it struck me as, I think, in my mind, and I'll let you guys answer this or discuss it or ignore it, your choice, your show, that I think people get upset because when you look at the Lenny, as some people are beginning to call it, or the Lenovo Center, there's so many empty seats from, I guess that would be their corporate champions, to use your phrase, in the lower bowl, that it just looks like they're playing before 57 people. And I think, in my point of view, when I went to games in the late 80s when I was a student, and they were playing, Marathon Oil and Athletes in Actions and, Northwest Directional State, it's not like Reynolds was packed to the gills with the 10,000 plus there. There were a lot of empty seats. You just didn't see them on TV. And I think when you see the old PNC with all those empty seats, people are wondering, why aren't they even going to the games? So I guess I'm thinking now that the Heritage game is going to go back, we're going to hear the same conversation about how great Reynolds is. I guess I kind of want your take on that they're not moving back, but how do we get past that point besides, hey, let's go to a lot of Final Fours. People are going to go all the time. So just a thought. Thanks, guys. And again, because this is a Wolfpack broadcast and podcast, go Pack.
Tell you what, we will answer that. I'm going to have to take some time to contemplate that. And we will answer that in tomorrow's OG mailbag. We'll actually make that part of the free portion of the OG mailbag so that you can hear that. Because I'm going to have to take some time to think about the corporate realities of modern college athletics that require those corporate champions to buy those seats. Whether they show up or not is immaterial. The check's cashed, right? Well, that's what the universities are looking for. All right, let's go to a 619 number before we say goodbye.
Hey guys, couple glasses in. It's Colonel Taylor here, and I just kind of had what's either a brilliant revelation or a completely stupid idea, but I just wanted to feel it out. For the college football playoffs, it's in chaos right now. We don't know what's going to happen. We got teams perceivably being screwed over and vice versa. Certain leagues getting preferential treatment, on and on and on. What if there was a bye week reserved the second to last week of the season before the championship week, or maybe a couple weeks before, where you take the top 26 to 30 teams and you've randomly matched them up against each other, and it's just built into the season. It's not really part of the 12-team playoff, but it's kind of like just kind of a feeler week where everyone gets a chance to play a better team than what they've played, or play a team that thinks that they're better than the people they have played. And it's just a good feeler game, and it can kind of solidify who the best teams are and who's better and who's a fraud. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think.
That sounds like scheduling exhibition games in youth hockey. It's like, we know this is a team that's way better than us, but you do it because it's a challenge and you get to see where your kids are at in comparison to a team that's above you.
Yeah, it's a great idea, but obviously not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. I think the most likely thing to happen would be the spring game. Make that an exhibition game, right?
No. That needs to be a preseason. The 1AA games need to be preseason.
Preseason games, yeah.
You just can't leave a gap because the schools themselves count too much on the home revenue. So they need to have a set date for when they're going to play, who they're going to play, all those other good things.
All right, we're going to get out of here because Joe is clearly uncomfortable. He does not want to be in the beer cave anymore.
My feet are going to freeze off.
He has lasted a full hour and 17 minutes. So congratulations, Joe. You made it in the beer cave. I'm fine. Basically, what I'm finding out is I'm way tougher than you.
Clearly.
Now we just got to take you to a Green Bay Packers game Buffalo.
Right. I would actually dress appropriately.
No, you got to dress like you are right now.
No.
We'll see you all for a mailbag. Talk to you then.